Hey there, welcome and welcome back to my channel. I am Oma. In this channel I make creative tutorials on how to crochet, how to sew, craft and other basic DIYs. So if that sounds like something you're very much interested in, you should definitely hit that subscribe button below. Okay guys, so in this tutorial I'll be showing you all how to make this very bucket hat, which I am putting on here. Of course I'm rocking it with my top, which has a blueprint on it. I know. So let's get right into the tutorial.
For this tutorial, I'll be working with this particular blue yarn, which is bigger than my regular yarns. Of course, it's 100 grams.
The next thing I'll be working with is my 3.5mm hook. Yes, because I'm working with one strand of yarn. Some stitch markers, just like this. My pair of scissors, my mini scissors actually, and of course my measuring tape. So let's put that together and let's begin.
So I labeled the various parts of the hat and its measurements, so you can have a better idea of what we are trying to create.
Roll your yarn over your finger and try and make a slip knot, just like this. Insert your hook right inside the slip knot and chain up 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Insert your hook right on the very first chain space we have here and make a slip stitch just like this. So right here we've already made a magic ring, just as you can see. Next thing is to yarn over, insert your hook right into that magic circle or the magic ring, and then
make a half double crochet stitch. To make a half double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook right inside there, pull through. You are left with 3, then pull through all. So basically that's how to make a half double crochet stitch. And for this particular magic ring, we'll be making a total of 8 half double crochets right inside this right inside the magic ring before we proceed. So right after you're done making your 8 half double crochet stitches, you have to pull this particular strand where we started from, just to adjust your circle. Yeah, that's going to contrast your circle rather. So after that, insert your hook right on the very first chain space and make a slip stitch to end that row. So right now we have closed that row. So for the next row, chain up 1 just like this, yarn over and make a half double crochet on the very first chain space which we have there, just like this. Again, yarn over and make another half double crochet stitch on the very same chain space which we made the first one. I'm just going to insert my stitch marker just to mark the beginning of this stitch, just like this. So in this particular row, this should be our row 2. So in this particular row we had to make a total of 16 half double crochet stitches, meaning that you have to make 2 half double crochet in each of the various chain spaces. Yeah, in each of these 8 chain spaces in total. So when we are done with that, I'll show you guys what we should be doing next. And once you're done with this row, take out the stitch marker just like this and then make a slip stitch right on that very first chain space which we have up there. And that's the end of row 2. Now for row 3, we are actually going to be starting with an increase. So firstly, chain up 1. You would make 2, that means you're going to be making 2 half double crochet stitches on the very first chain space, then 1 half double crochet on the next chain space, 2 half double crochets, 1 half double crochet, just like that. So I started with an increase, which is 2 half double crochets, just like this, and I will insert my stitch marker for this new row. So yarn over, make your half double crochet on the next chain space, 1. Then on the next chain space make an increase just like this. On the next one make a normal half double crochet just like this. On the next one make an increase. So that is basically the pattern for this row 2, which is 1 increase, 1 normal, 1 increase, 1 normal, and ensure you end without an increase. Now for row 4, we are going to be starting with 1 single half double crochet stitch just like this. Make a half double crochet stitch on the very first chain space, and then I'm going to insert my stitch marker just to mark this new row as well. Yarn over and make a half double crochet stitch on the next chain space just as shown. And on the next chain space I'll be making an increase, which is 2 half double crochet stitches on that third chain space right there. And then on the next one I'll make a normal half double crochet. On the next one, 1 half double crochet, and on the next one I'm going to make an increase. So the pattern for this row 4 is basically 2 half double crochets, 1 increase, 2 half double crochets, 1 increase. So that's basically what we're doing for this particular row, and I'll be walking through with that like get to the end of this row. And I'm almost at the end of the row, as you can see, and I'll just take out my stitch marker just like this, and then make sure that I end with an increase. Do not forget that row 4 you should end with an increase. Any row you start with an increase, do not end with an increase. Any row you do not start with an increase, make sure you end with an increase. So that's the pattern for this particular row. So this is how I'll be working row by row. Now for row 5, we are actually starting with an increase, which is 2 half double crochet stitches on the first chain space just as shown, and then make 3 half double crochet stitches on the next 3 chain spaces. So I'll just insert my stitch marker as usual to mark another row, and then make my regular half double crochet stitches along the 3 chain spaces. And so on the next one we'll be making an increase, which is exactly what I just did. After that, make extra 3 half double crochets along the 3 chain spaces and make another increase. So that's the pattern for this particular row, and that's how we'll be doing it. So guys, I'm almost at the end of this row. I'm also going to be making sure I end without an increase. Yes, so basically that's the pattern for the crown, guys. Whichever row you start with an increase, ensure you do not end with an increase, and wherever you don't start with an increase, ensure you end with an increase. So that's basically the pattern for the crown, which is very, very simple. You can actually do this round and round until you hit your desired length. So guys, now I'm actually done with the crown. I worked 6 rows extra from that particular point, which is where I am. If I check this with my measuring tape, I will actually be arriving at 6.25, which is exactly what I want to work with. Actually, the diameter of an adult hat should be 5.5 to 7 inches. So you can just divide the circumference of your head by 4 and work with what you have, or you can actually do like mine. So you just have to work with your own desired measurement. And now for part B, which is the body of the hat, we are going to be making half double crochet stitches over the back loop. We're working on the back loop, which is this particular part where I'm going to be inserting my hook on, in order for the cap to have a little bending, for it to bend over. So that's why I'm working on the back loop, which is exactly what I'm doing. You can actually zoom in for this to be bold and clear. Yes, so back loop only, you're making half double crochet stitches along this row. So for this particular row, we are not making any increase whatsoever on this part, because that's the body of the hat. We've actually gotten the crown, which is round the hat, so now is the body part, which we are not making any increases. So make normal half double crochet stitches along this part. So this is what the back loop stitch looks like. It helps the cap to actually bend a little bit, just like this. I hope you guys can see this clearly. So it helps the cap to bend in a little bit. So work your normal half double crochets from this point round and round, and at the end of the row, ensure you end with a slip stitch right after the last chain space, just to seal the end of this row. So yeah guys, basically this row has ended, and this is what the hat looks like. As you can see, this next row is a little bit bent, which is helping the cap to bend over for it to, you know, form properly. So for next row, chain up one and make normal half double crochet stitches along this row. So this time around, you're not making your half double crochets all over the loop or in the loop. You are working right on each of the chain spaces. Do not forget, you're not working on the loop this time around, you're working on regular chain spaces from this point. So keep working your normal half double crochet stitches all along this row. So basically this part B, we are making a total of 3 inches body part. So that's what we are going to be doing, and I'll meet you guys when I am done with that. Okay guys, so this is how far we have actually walked. As you can see, we are actually done with the body part of this hat. I walked a total of 13 rows for this body part. You can actually check that out. So I do not know the size of yarn you're working with or the size of hook you're working with either, but for some clarity, I walked 3 inches from that particular back loop. Yes, that's how far I walked. So we can check that out and make sure yours is actually corresponding with mine. So for the next part, which is part C guys, and for the first row, we are working on the front loop, which is where I just directed now. For this cap to be able to flow out, we are going to be working on the front loop like I said. So work your normal half double crochet stitches on the front loop, which is where I'm working on right now. Feel free to zoom in so you can actually see exactly what I am doing. So you're working 4 half double crochets and 1 increase, 4 half double crochets and 1 increase. So that means from this beginning part, we have worked 4 half double crochets already, and on the 5th one we'll be making an increase right there. And that's what we're going to be doing to the end of this particular row. So I'm showing you guys this my pattern because this is exactly what I did for my cap to be able to flow out exactly the way you guys saw it on the intro. So that's exactly what I'm doing. So many other people have their own pattern for the flap of their hat, but for me, this is the pattern that works out perfectly for me, and that's what I'm sharing right here on my channel. Yeah, so that's basically what I'm doing for this row. So if you've noticed, you'd see that our cap is actually flowing out just as intended. It's no longer like the body part, it's flowing out a little bit. So once we try out this particular pattern for this row and use the next pattern I'm going to be showing you for the second row, you will see that the flap area will begin to come out very well, or the brim rather will begin to flow out properly. So keep working that, and I'll meet you guys at the end of this row. And right at the end of this row, I'll be ending it with a slip stitch, which is exactly what I'm just doing right here.
So that's all for this particular row 1. So for the row 2, guys, I'm no longer going to be working on the loop part. I'm going to be working right on the chain spaces. So for row 2, chain 1 and make normal half double crochet stitches on each of the various chain spaces along this row, meaning that on this row you are not making any increase whatsoever. You are working regular half double crochet stitches all through the entire chain spaces along this row, and then I will meet you guys at the end of this row. And now at the end of this row, I will be sealing with a slip stitch just as shown. So guys, for row 3, I'll chain up 1, yarn over, and make 8 half double crochets along this row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So on the ninth one, at that point I'm going to be making 2 half double crochets right inside that very chain space, which is my increase, as you can see. So that's what I'm going to be working along this part, 8 half double crochets, and on the ninth one I would make an increase. Okay, and I'm almost approaching the end, guys. I will be sealing this particular row, of course, with a slip stitch just as shown. So now for row 3, chain up 1 and make regular half double crochets all through this entire row, and I'll meet you guys at the very end of this row. So for this row, you're not making any increase and you're not adding anything. Just work your regular half double crochets and meet me at the end of this row. And that's the end of this particular row. And as for row 5, I will be making 10 half double crochet stitches and then 1 increase after that. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can actually count that, let's be sure. Okay, so we actually have 9 already, so we're going to be making extra 2. So after that, the next chain space, you should make an increase right there, which is 2 half double crochet stitches on that chain space. So that's actually the pattern: 10 half double crochets, 1 increase, 10 half double crochets, 1 increase, all along this row. And yeah, again I'm ending with a slip stitch for this particular row 5. So guys, for row 6, I'm actually going to be making 1 single half double crochets all along this particular row. So that means 1 half double crochet in each chain space all through this particular row. So that's basically what I'm doing for row 6. There's no increase, just your normal half double crochets all through, and I will meet you at the end of this row. Okay guys, I'm just approaching the end of this particular row 6, and that's exactly what I always do, slip stitch, and that's the end of this particular row. So guys, after this particular row 6, on the next
few rows, I'm going to be working regular half double crochets, like 3 rows of half double crochets on the next 3 rows. That's what I'm just doing, regular half double crochets with no increase. So guys, I'm actually done with that, and the brim of this hat measures about 2 inches. Yes, so guys, that's basically it for the brim. I worked extra 3 rows after that, and this is what I have. You can actually do your pattern in another formula. You can do 4, 6, 8, 10, and some regular double crochets without an increase. But for me, I worked 4, 8, 10. So it depends on how you want your brim to flow out. So that's just it. And this is the finished look of my hat, guys. And yeah, that's basically how to make your regular bucket hat. I hope you found this video helpful. If you enjoyed my video up to this moment, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up. Feel free to share to as many as possible who might need my video. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Do not forget to subscribe so you don't miss further updates. Bye.